Hey guys, how are you doing? How's it going? Little update for you on the weather here in Alberta, Canada. It is full on winter. It's, what is it, November 2nd, and we have so much snow, and it's just snow, 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 winter wonderland, and kids love it. And we've already shoveled a couple times, and we're all kind of saying it's crazy, but that's just a reality of living in Calgary, Alberta. Not everywhere in Canada it's like that, but just here. Anyway, if you're here, you already know that. But for other people in the rest of the world, this is what it's like in November in Canada. And a lot of people go on vacation here in November and March. And of course, during the winter. Anyway, this is totally unrelated, but we're just all talking about that, about going somewhere warm, somewhere nice, somewhere sunny, while it's cold here. So I am super inspired by my own life to tell you today that showing up is, even when you don't feel like it, is enough sometimes. For example, for you guys, sometimes, just saying, sometimes I don't feel like showing up for you guys. But why do I do it? Because it's important to me to be there for you, to help you, to have a relationship with you. And why is this important for you to know? Because sometimes it's enough for me to just be here, even with this simple message, for you to know that I'm here to help you, that I care about you, that I'm here to keep helping you, right? And this is why I want you to know it, is because if this is enough, then you showing up for your son with the bare minimum of just showing up, even when you don't want to, is enough. Is enough sometimes, right? Is enough. A lot of people don't show up because they think it's not enough to show up not at your best. I see it everywhere. Some people don't go for a workout because they think, oh, if I'm not going to work out for an hour, 5 days out of the week, then it's not going to be good enough. Then they don't show up for themselves. They just don't do it at all. They're like, yeah, I just need to do it either all or nothing. I'm not going to do like 20 minutes twice a week. No, that's not going to do anything. I'm just not going to show up at all for myself this week. I'm going to do it next week, right? Or some people don't call a friend if they don't feel good, right? If they're like, oh, if I don't have time to spend with my friend the whole day or go out for dinner with her, then I'm just not going to call just yet. I'm not ready yet, right? I'm not going to check in on her. And so they don't show up with a friend, right? So the same thing with the kids. You don't have to be like the happiest. Like, this is my thought sometimes. Like, if I'm not the happiest of moms, if I'm not going to be interested in what he's saying, then it's not good enough. No. And I stop myself and I always say, no, I don't have to be interested. I don't have to talk to him. I just have to be there. I just have to show up. Bare minimum, right? Just like the last episode that I recorded about bare minimum. This is the bare minimum in relationships. And I always say to my husband as well, I say, I'd rather have a terrible date than no date at all. Because to me, it's super important to just show up. Just showing up is important, even if it's going to be totally shitty, right? Because just showing up will create your relationship with whatever that thing is, right? If you, what else? Other examples can I have? Like for me, I call my dad every weekend, every Sunday. I try to call. Sometimes I call him Saturday if I feel like it. Sometimes I call him Sunday. Sometimes, but the thing is, I don't feel bad if I don't call. Like, for example, there's a Sunday that I don't call. Say we were on vacation, we're coming back. No problem. I'll just either call on Monday or call the following week. But I don't feel bad, and I don't hold a high standard for myself of being like super happy or cheerful or anything interested. My job is just to call him. And however I feel, however, maybe if I'm distracted or if he's busy, like sometimes I call him and he's in the middle of something, and then like last time I called and they were driving somewhere, I think, and he couldn't talk. And so he passed the phone. We just chatted with him for a couple of minutes, and then he passed the phone to my mom, and I talked to my mom. And that's good enough, right? And sometimes it's super lovely, and he's waiting for my call, and he says, "Oh yeah, I was waiting already. I know every Sunday you call." And so he has the phone by his side, and I have a coffee, and it's just a perfect match of like we have a perfect chat, right? Again, just showing up. My bare minimum is just show up. Sometimes I can be in the evening, I call him, sometimes in the morning, sometimes when we're driving somewhere. Like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Sometimes, like with a friend, just showing up for a friend. If we can't meet, just a text is enough. Maybe a phone call, right? Again, and the same thing I apply with my boys when I put them to bed. And sometimes sometimes I'm just so tired, like putting 4 kids to bed, and I have a high standard for how I like to put them to bed. Like, I like to give them all individual time and lie down with them and have a chat, ask about their day. But honestly, I can't keep up with my own standard because it's just too much to check in with 4 people at the end of the day, each day. So sometimes I don't feel like doing it, or I'm not interested in what they're saying. So I feel bad initially, but then I say it's okay. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to ask anything. I just have to be here. And that makes me feel so much better. I just lie with them, I snuggle with them, and guess what? Of course, they chit chat, they blah, blah, blah. They just tell me all the things or ask me all the things. Or, like, one of them, he actually enjoys the quiet because he's tired and he doesn't want to be bombarded with questions and anything. And then after a couple minutes, he starts talking and it's just more relaxed. So, again, my point is just showing up. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you think it's going to be total shit, like totally terrible, and not, you think it's not going to make a difference, but I want to sell you on this idea that actually just showing up the worst way you can is going to make a difference. Okay? So for example, like you listening to this podcast, it comes out every Wednesday. You can count on me releasing a podcast every single Wednesday, right? So even if my episode is total shit or not super useful or maybe not so interesting or maybe whatever you don't like in it, still you knowing that, oh, I know it's Wednesday, it's going to come out, you know that you have some sort of piece of inspiration coming, right? Or some help, or maybe just a friendly voice, or just like a fellow mom going through the same thing, right? You knowing that that's there is building a relationship for you with me and creating trust. You have trust that this is going to happen. The same thing will happen with your son, right? When you do this, or any relationship that you create, you will create that trust, right? No matter what, that person will be there for me. And that's enough sometimes. It doesn't have to be super wonderful and fun and interesting, right? Just being there for them is just enough. Sometimes, like even just coaching my clients, sometimes the coaching that I give is the bare minimum of listening. Just from me listening to my clients, they feel better. And we could say that could be the bare minimum, right? Just me just showing up and listening is enough, and even more than enough. So, have I sold you on this idea yet? Just showing up. So, in any relationship with your husband, with your mom, with your dad, with your siblings, with your friend, like you can say, I'm going to show up with my group of friends maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter. Once a year is enough. This is my plan for how I'm going to show up for them. I'm going to check in with them once a quarter. Right? This is the latest my addition to my contribution was checking in with my in-laws. I would like to be the daughter-in-law that checks in with them maybe once a month or so, because I just want to have that relationship with them, that I care about them, and that I just check in with them once a month, right? Whereas on the other side of it, I never check in with them and only see them when we visit or when they visit or when I ask for babysitting, right? So I'd like to have a more of a solid base, a relationship for having that with it. And so I decided for me, I'm going to maybe text or call once a month, right? And I don't feel bad if in the beginning I don't follow through each time, but every time that thought crosses my mind, I go, oh, okay, maybe I'll just give them a call, right? So I want to offer you that showing up at your most terrible regularly is enough for your son, for yourself, for your husband, right? And not having it be super elaborate, super complicated. Like, make it easy for yourself to do the bare minimum, right? Bare minimum, like workouts. If you can't show up 5 days a week for an hour workout, what could be the bare minimum that you could show up for? Like, could you show up once a week for half an hour, for 10 minutes? And if you don't think that's going to make a difference, I disagree. I think it will make a world of a difference if you start showing up for yourself, for the workouts, once a week for 10 minutes. Because once you build that trust with yourself that you can do that, then you can start building up to more time and more often, right? So, okay, I'm repeating myself a lot, which I hear some people don't like, but also repeating myself a lot can actually help other people. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So showing up at your bare minimum is enough, and I encourage you to do it even when you don't feel like it at all. Like today I didn't feel like it, but it's important to me that you have my voice here, and I also want to share with you, right, what's coming through me, like the messages that are helpful, because I know they will be helpful to you. So I have to honor that what has to come out of me, and be here for you and honor that connection with you and help you. Okay. So if you need any help connecting with your son, and if you want to kind of establish what showing up you want to do in your life, I am here to help you. You can go to my website to sign up for a session. That's how the best way to work with me is just go to my website, www.coachingnatalia.com. Go to sign up for a free mini session and sign up for a time. If you don't see a time that works, feel free to email me at natalia@coachingnatalia.com, and we'll just pick a time that works best for you. And seriously, don't allow yourself not to show up for somebody or yourself just because you don't feel like it, or if you don't think you can give it your best. Show up and give your worst, but just show up still. All right? Because sometimes when you show up at your worst, other people will think it's not so bad, right? Okay. All right. Have a great week. I love you all so much. And show up. Bye. And I'm on a roll.